The interrogation chamber was cold and sterile. White walls surrounded a single metal chair bolted to the floor. Deho was strapped to it, arms locked down, head restrained. A Vraxian stood before him, smaller than the soldiers, but no less dangerous. This was Krathzel, the interrogator. "I am going to ask you questions," Krathzel said, his translator making his voice sound almost polite. "If you answer, this will be quick. If you resist, I will make you suffer in ways your small brain cannot imagine." Deho said nothing, his eyes focused on a point on the wall behind Krathzel. "Where are your military fleet bases?" Silence. "How many ships does humanity have?" Silence. Krathzel sighed. "Very well. We do this the hard way." He attached electrodes to Deho's temples. "This device connects to your nervous system. It will make your nerves think they are burning. The pain is not real, but your mind cannot tell the difference." He activated the machine. Deho's body went rigid. His jaw clenched. Sweat appeared on his forehead. But he made no sound. Not a scream. Not a whimper. His eyes never left that spot on the wall. After 30 seconds, Krathzel turned off the device. "Impressive tolerance. Let us try again. Where are your bases?" Deho's voice came out steady despite his shaking hands. "I don't know what you're talking about." The torture continued for hours. Each session grew more intense. Between rounds, Deho was taken back to his cell. The other prisoners stared at him in horror. His skin was covered in sweat, his breathing heavy, but his eyes remained clear and focused. "Why don't you just tell them something?" Mino whispered. "Anything? Make something up. They'll kill you." "No," Deho said quietly. "They need information. As long as they think I have value, they won't kill me. That gives me time." "Time for what?" Sora asked. "To learn this ship." Over the next 2 days, the pattern continued. Interrogation cell, interrogation cell. But Deho was not just enduring. He was observing. During the walk to and from the interrogation chamber, he memorized every corridor, every door panel, every guard station. He counted steps. He noted shift changes. He watched how the Vraxians moved, how they positioned their weapons where they were lazy in their routines. On the 3rd day, something changed. A new prisoner was brought to their cell. He was older, maybe 50, with gray hair and hard eyes. When he saw Deho, he stopped, his gaze fixed on Deho's left shoulder, where his torn uniform revealed a small tattoo. 3 lines crossed by a horizontal slash. "That mark," the man said carefully. "Where did you get it?" "I earned it," Deho replied. The man's expression changed. Recognition and something like hope flashed across his face. "I'm Lee Hanwoo. I was a Marine 20 years ago. I know that mark." "Your special operations?" Deho glanced at the cell camera, then back to Hyunwoo. He said nothing, but that was answer enough. Minho looked between them, confused. "What does that mean?" Hyunwoo sat down slowly. "It means we might not die here." Meanwhile, in the ship's medical bay, Science Officer Pelquin was reviewing the data from Deho's interrogation sessions. Something was wrong. She had studied human physiology before, had examined prisoners from previous raids. This one was different. His stress hormone levels were abnormal. Too controlled. His heart rate showed patterns that didn't match someone experiencing extreme pain. His brain activity suggested active tactical thinking, not panic or survival instinct. She took her findings to Captain Velmora. "Captain, I believe we should reconsider our approach to the prisoner Kang Deho." Velmora barely looked up from her station. "Why, is he dying?" "No, that's the problem. He is too controlled. His biological responses suggest training. Extensive training. This may not be an ordinary survivor. All humans are weak, Pelquin. He is simply more stubborn than most. Commander Thulvex is pleased with the interrogation progress. We will continue as planned." Pelquin wanted to argue but knew it was pointless. Thulvex saw what he wanted to see: victory, easy prey. He would not listen to warnings about one small human. That night, during the sleep cycle, Hyunwoo moved closer to Deho in the dark cell. "What's the plan?" he whispered, barely audible. "They're taking us to a fleet rendezvous. 300 Vraxian warships gathering at one point." "How do you know that?" "I listen. The guards talk. They think we don't understand their language well enough to follow conversations. They're wrong." Deho shifted slightly, his shackles clicking softly. "When we reach that rendezvous, something important happens." "What?" "I complete my mission." Hyunwoo stared at him. "Mission? You were sent here on purpose?" Daeho's eyes caught the faint emergency light from the corridor. They looked black, empty. Outpost Taeyang wasn't just a colony. My sister worked there. Park Jiwon. She was a doctor. She had 2 children. A husband. They all died when the Vraxians attacked. I'm sorry, Hyunwoo said quietly. Don't be. I'm not. Daeho's voice held no emotion. I volunteered for this. I requested it. Command gave me a choice. They offered support, a team, resources. I said no, send me alone. Let them capture me. Let me get close. Close to what? Everything. Before Hyunwoo could ask more, footsteps echoed outside. The cell door opened. Guards entered, weapons ready. Kang Daeho, come. As Daeho stood, he did something that made the guards hesitate. He smiled. It was not a friendly smile. It was the smile of someone who knew a secret. A terrible secret. The interrogation that day was different. Krathazel seemed frustrated, almost angry. You are strong, human. Stronger than your kind should be. But everyone breaks eventually. Why delay the inevitable? Daeho met his eyes. Because every day I'm alive is another day I learn about your ship. Your crew, your weaknesses. Krathazel laughed. Weaknesses? You're chained, helpless. What could you possibly do? You'd be surprised. Something in Daeho's tone made Krathazel uncomfortable. He activated the pain device again, this time at maximum intensity. Daeho's body convulsed. His teeth drew blood from his lip. But through it all, his eyes never closed. He stared at Krathazel the entire time, watching, learning, remembering. When it finally stopped, Krathazel was breathing hard. I have broken warriors 3 times your size. You will tell me what I want to know. Maybe, Daeho gasped, but not today. And maybe not in time to save your fleet. What does that mean? Daeho said nothing more. The guards dragged him back to his cell. As they walked through the corridors, Daeho noted something new. A weapons locker with a faulty magnetic seal. It would be easy to open. He filed that information away with everything else. Back in the cell, Sora helped him sit down. You're going to get yourself killed. We're all dead anyway, Minho said. The ship reaches the rendezvous tomorrow. After that, they don't need prisoners. They'll execute us all. Hyunwoo looked at Daeho. The special operations soldier was recovering quickly, his breathing already steadying. Is tomorrow when it happens? Daeho nodded once. When what happens? Sora demanded. Will someone please tell us what's going on? Daeho leaned his head back against the wall. For the first time since his capture, he spoke freely. Tomorrow they learn what humans really are. Tomorrow the Reaper comes. The Reaper? Minho asked. What's that? Hyunwoo answered quietly. It's not a what. It's a who. It's his code name. Special Operations gives them to their best soldiers, the ones they send on impossible missions. He looked at Daeho with something between respect and fear. What did you do before they sent you here? Daeho's eyes closed. Behind his eyelids, he saw his sister's face. Her children laughing. Their colony home before it became ash and debris. When he opened his eyes again, they were colder than space itself. I made people disappear. The cell fell silent. Outside, the blood claw continued its journey. In 18 hours, it would reach the Vraxian fleet gathering. Commander Thulvex was confident. Captain Villamora was uneasy. And in a detention cell surrounded by hopeless prisoners, a human soldier named Kang Daeho waited patiently for his moment. The Vraxians thought they had captured him. They were wrong. He had captured them. All of them. They just didn't know it yet. The Bloodclaw dropped out of hyperspace exactly on schedule. Through the viewports, the Vraxian fleet spread across the darkness like a metallic city. 300 warships, the entire Eastern Armada, gathered in formation. This was the staging point for the final assault on human territory. Commander Thulvex looked at the massive fleet and felt pride swell in his chest. Magnificent, he said. With this force, we will sweep the humans from every world they occupy. Captain Villamora nodded, but her attention was elsewhere. Science Officer Pel Quinn had sent another report about the prisoner Kang Daeho. The anomalies in his biological data had increased. His brain activity during the last interrogation showed patterns Pel Quinn had never seen. Not fear, not pain response. Something else entirely. Pattern recognition. Tactical assessment. Planning. Commander, Villamora said carefully, I recommend we execute the human prisoner immediately. Thulvex looked at her in surprise. Execute him, why? Krathazel believes he will break within days. We will have valuable intelligence. I don't think we will. I think we have made a mistake. A mistake? With one human? Thulvex laughed. Your caution is excessive, Captain. The prisoner is secured, shackled, guarded. What could one human possibly do? In the detention cell, Daeho was explaining exactly what one human could do. There are 32 prisoners on this ship, he told the group gathered around him. Hyunwoo had convinced the others that Daeho had a plan. They listened now with desperate attention. We're spread across 4 cells. The guard rotation changes every 6 hours. During the change, there is a 3-minute window where the detention level has minimal coverage. Even if we get out of the cells, we have no weapons, a prisoner named Yoon Taejin said. He was older, with burn scars on his arms. I was an explosives technician before they captured me. I know ships. This one has armored bulkheads, sealed corridors, automated defenses. We'd be cut down before we reached anywhere useful. We're not going to fight our way through the ship, Daeho said. Not at first. We're going to make them come to us. Make them panic. Make them waste resources chasing ghosts while we move toward real targets. What targets? Sora asked. 3 places. The armory on deck 9. The main power distribution center on deck 12. And the bridge on deck 3. Daeho's eyes moved to each prisoner. But first we need to get out of these cells and these shackles. How? Minho asked. The doors are magnetically sealed. The shackles are quantum locked. Even if we had tools, Daeho held up his hands. His shackles were still in place, glowing blue. Then, with a movement so fast the others barely saw it, he dislocated both his thumbs. The bones popped with a sickening sound. His face showed pain, but his hands pulled free of the shackles. The quantum locks fell to the floor. Everyone stared in shock. Daeho grabbed his thumbs and snapped them back into place one after the other. He didn't make a sound. I can't do that for everyone, he said calmly. But I can do something else. He moved to the cell door and examined the control panel. These locks use a rotating encryption code. But every system has a default override. The Vraxians are arrogant. They never change their factory settings. He pressed a sequence on the panel. The door clicked open. How did you know the code? Hyunwoo demanded. I watched the guards enter it every time they came for me. 17 times. They used the same code every time. Daeho stepped into the corridor. Come on, we have 90 seconds before the next patrol. They moved quickly through the detention level, opening the other cells. The freed prisoners gathered in a storage room. 32 humans looking at Daeho for answers. Most of you won't survive this, he told them bluntly. The Vraxians outnumber us 50 to 1. They have better weapons, better armor, better everything. But if we do nothing, we die anyway. If we fight, we might accomplish something before we die. Accomplish what? Someone asked. Daeho pulled a small device from his boot. It was a data chip no bigger than his thumbnail. This ship's computer system connects to the fleet network. If I can access their bridge and download the fleet's rendezvous coordinates, Human Command can locate every Vraxian ship in this armada. It would change the entire war. That's suicide, Taejin said. Even if we somehow reach the bridge, they'll just kill us and purge the data. They might. But I'm not planning to leave this ship alive anyway. Daeho's voice was flat, matter-of-fact. I have something inside me. A bioweapon, experimental. When I die, it activates and spreads. It won't kill the Vraxians, but it will mark them. Every Vraxian who breathes the same air as my corpse will carry a unique molecular signature. Human sensors can track that signature across light years. The room went silent. Hyunwoo found his voice first. You're a walking plague bomb. Command sent you here to die. No, I volunteered. I requested this mission. Daeho looked at each of them. My sister died when they destroyed Outpost Taeyang. My niece and nephew. My brother-in-law. Thousands of others. I'm not doing this for revenge, though. I'm doing this so they never do it again. So humanity has the intelligence we need to stop them. Sora stepped forward. I can help. I'm an engineer. If you need to access their systems, I know computer architecture. I can navigate their network. Taejin raised his hand. And I can make sure their engineering section has a very bad day. Point me at their power distribution. I'll turn this ship into a drifting coffin. Others volunteered. Minho, the pilot, knew ship layouts. Others had skills. Some had nothing but the desire to hurt the enemy before they died. Daeho organized them quickly, dividing them into 3 groups. Team 1 with Hyunwoo hits the armory. Get weapons. Distribute them. Team 2 with Taejin goes to engineering. Sabotage everything you can. Team 3 with me and Sora goes to the bridge. What about the guards? Someone asked. As if in answer, the storage room door opened. A Vraxian guard stood there, shocked to see the prisoners free. He reached for his weapon. Deho moved like lightning, crossing the space in 3 steps. His hand grabbed the guard's throat. Before the Vraxian could react, Deho twisted. The guard's neck snapped with a crack. Deho caught the falling body and took the weapon. It was a plasma rifle, still warm. He checked the charge and looked at the others. Like that, fast, quiet when possible. Loud when necessary. Any questions? No one spoke. Good, move out. They split into groups and moved through the ship's corridors. The Bloodclaw was large, over 1,000 crew members, but most were at their stations. The detention level was relatively isolated. Deho led his team through maintenance tunnels, avoiding main corridors. On the bridge, Captain Velamora received an alert. Commander, we have a security breach. Detention level. Multiple prisoners have escaped. Thulvex stood up, angry. How did they escape? Unknown. Guards are responding. Send all security teams. Kill them on sight. No, wait. Bring me Kang Deho alive if possible. Kill the rest. Velamora activated shipwide communications. All security personnel, code red. Escape prisoners detention level. Kang Deho is priority capture. Others are expendable. In the maintenance tunnels, Deho heard the announcement echo through the ship. He smiled. Good, they're focused on us. They'll pull security from other areas. That means more guards hunting us, Minho said nervously. Exactly, which means fewer guards where we're going. Team 1 reached the armory first. Hyunwoo used a dead guard's access card to open the door. Inside, rows of weapons gleamed under cold lights. They armed themselves quickly. Plasma rifles, shock batons, even some Vraxian grenades. Take everything you can carry, Hyunwoo ordered. We're not coming back here. Team 2 found the power distribution center. Taejin studied the massive conduits and control panels. This is beautiful. So much I can break. He started pulling access panels, exposing critical systems. Give me 10 minutes and I'll have half this ship running on emergency power. Deho's team moved higher through the ship toward the bridge. They encountered their first resistance on Deck 7. 5 Vraxian soldiers blocked the corridor, weapons raised. Surrender now, the lead soldier commanded. Deho stepped forward. No. The fighting was brief and brutal. Deho moved with precision, every action calculated. He shot one guard, disarmed another, used a third as a shield. Sora and Minho stayed behind cover, firing when they had clear shots. Within 30 seconds, all 5 guards were dead. Keep moving, Deho said, not even breathing hard. They continued upward. Behind them, alarms screamed throughout the ship. The Vraxians were realizing this wasn't a simple prison break. This was an assault. Commander Thulvex watched security feeds in growing rage. How are they doing this? They're just humans. Velmora's expression was grim. Not just humans, Commander. Look at the one called Kang Deho. Every movement is precise, trained. He's killing our soldiers with ease. Then send more soldiers. We are, but he's hurting them. Making them follow predictable patterns. It's as if he knows our response protocols. Thulvex stared at the screen showing Deho fighting through a corridor. The human moved like death itself. What is he? Velmora finally understood. He's not a survivor. He's a weapon. We didn't capture him. He infiltrated us. Impossible! Watch him, Commander. Does that look like a frightened prisoner to you? On the screen, Deho killed another guard with his bare hands, took the guard's weapon, and kept advancing. His face showed no fear, no hesitation. The debris field stretched for miles in every direction. Broken metal twisted through the void like frozen tears. This had been Outpost Taiyang 3 weeks ago. Now it was just wreckage and silence. The Vraxian warship Bloodclaw moved through the ruins like a predator checking its kill. Its dark hull gleamed under the distant star's light. Inside the command deck, Commander Thulvex watched the scanners with satisfied eyes. The humans had been weak. Their colony had fallen in less than an hour. Commander, we have something, Captain Velamora said from her station. Her clawed hand pointed at the screen. A life sign, human, still alive in Sector 7. Thulvex's mouth split into what passed for a smile among his kind. Just one? Yes, Commander. Weak signal. Probably injured. Excellent. Send a boarding party. 12 troops. Bring this human to me alive. Thulvex leaned back in his command chair. I want to know where their other colonies are, where their fleets hide. This survivor will tell us everything. Lieutenant Brixton stepped forward, eager. I will lead the team personally, Commander. Do it. But remember, I need this human breathing. We can hurt it, but keep it alive. The boarding craft launched minutes later. 12 Vraxian shock troops sat in the hold, checking their weapons. They were elite soldiers, each standing 7 feet tall with thick armor covering their scaled skin. They had fought humans before. The small creatures were easy to break. Brixton studied the scanner as they approached the debris. Life sign is stable. Not moving. Probably hiding or too wounded to run, he laughed. This will be simple. The craft touched down on a large piece of broken station. The troops filed out, weapons ready. They moved through the twisted corridors of what had once been a residential block. Bodies floated in the vacuum, frozen in their final moments. Men, women, children. The Vraxians paid them no attention. They found the human in what had been a medical bay. He sat against a wall surrounded by corpses. His armor was damaged, cracked in several places. His helmet visor was shattered on one side. He looked up as they entered, and Brixton saw a human male, maybe 30 or 35 cycles old. Dark eyes. Calm face, too calm. Stand up, human, Brixton commanded through his translator. The man stood slowly. He was tall for a human, but still a foot shorter than the smallest Vraxian. He raised his hands above his head. His weapon lay on the ground beside him, clearly placed there on purpose. I surrender, the human said quietly. Brixton laughed. Smart creature. You know you cannot win. He gestured to his troops. Bind him. 2 soldiers moved forward with quantum shackles. The metal bands locked around the human's wrists and ankles, glowing with blue energy. The human didn't resist. He just stood there watching them with those dark, empty eyes. What is your name? Brixton demanded. Kang Deho. Well, Kang Deho, you are going to tell us everything about your military, your fleet positions, your colony locations, everything. Brixton moved closer, trying to intimidate the human. If you cooperate, we might kill you quickly. Deho said nothing. His face showed no fear, no anger, nothing. Something about that bothered Brixton, but he pushed the feeling aside. The human was probably in shock. They dragged Deho back to the boarding craft and returned to the Bloodclaw. Commander Thulvex was waiting in the landing bay when they arrived. He circled Deho slowly, studying him like a scientist examining an insect. So small, so fragile, and yet your kind thinks you can stand against the Vraxian Empire. Deho met his eyes but said nothing. Take him to detention level, Thulvex ordered. Begin interrogation in 1 cycle. I want to know everything this creature knows. He turned to Velmora. How long until we reach the fleet rendezvous point? 3 days, Commander. We will meet the main armada at the staging area as planned. Good. By then this human will have told us everything. We will use his information to crush the remaining colonies. Thulvex looked at Deho one more time. Your people made a mistake when they entered our territory. We will make sure none of you survive to repeat that mistake. The guards dragged Deho away. They threw him into a detention cell with several other humans. These prisoners were in worse shape, bruised, bloody, terrified. They had been captured from different raids over the past weeks. A young man moved closer to Deho. He was maybe 20, with fear clear in his eyes. I'm Choi Minho, I was a pilot. They shot down my transport 2 weeks ago. He looked at Deho's calm face. You're not scared? Why aren't you scared? Deho sat down against the wall, his shackles clinking. Being scared doesn't help. A woman spoke from the corner. I'm Ansora. I was an engineer at Outpost Dijon. Her voice shook. They killed everyone. I only survived because I was in the maintenance tunnels when they attacked. How many prisoners are on this ship? Deho asked. Maybe 30, Sora answered. They keep us in different cells. They take people for questioning. Some don't come back. Deho nodded slowly. His eyes moved around the cell, studying every detail. The door mechanism. The air vents. The power conduits running along the ceiling. He was memorizing everything, Minho noticed. What are you looking for? Weaknesses, weaknesses. Are you crazy? Look around. We're locked in a Vraxian warship. There are hundreds of them and 30 of us. We're dead. The only question is when. Deho looked at him. For the first time, something showed in his eyes. Not fear, not hope. Something colder. They made a mistake. What mistake? Sora asked. They took me alive. Before anyone could respond, the cell door opened. 4 Vraxian guards entered. You, Kang Deho, come with us. The interrogator is ready for you. Deho stood without resistance. As they led him out, Minho called after him. Will we see you again? Deho paused at the doorway. He didn't turn around. Yes, and when you do, be ready. The door closed. The other prisoners sat in confused silence. In the command deck, Commander Thulvex watched the security feed showing Deho being led to the interrogation chamber. This will be easy. Humans always break quickly. Captain Velamora studied her instruments, but something nagged at her. Commander, did you notice the human's behavior? He showed no fear, no desperation. He is in shock. It will wear off when the pain begins. But Velamora wasn't convinced. She had fought many species. Fear was universal. But this human, Kang Deho, had looked at them with something else entirely. She couldn't identify what it was. Not yet. If she had known, she would have ejected him into space immediately. But by the time she understood, it would be far too late. The Vraxians had not captured a helpless survivor. They had invited death itself aboard their ship, and death was patient. The ship shook as Taijin's team finished their work in engineering. Half the power grid went offline. Emergency lights flickered on throughout the blood claw. Gravity generators stuttered, creating moments of weightlessness. The Vraxians scrambled to respond, but their systems were failing faster than they could repair them. Commander, we have critical failures on decks 8 through 15, a technician reported. Life support is fluctuating. We're venting atmosphere from Cargo Bay 3. Tolvek slammed his fist on the command console. Seal that bay. Reroute power from secondary systems. We're trying, Commander, but someone has sabotaged the main power distribution. It will take hours to fix. We don't have hours. Thulvex turned to Velmora. Where is the prisoner now? Deck 5. He's moving toward the bridge with 2 others. Security teams are engaging. On Deck 5, Deho crouched behind a bulkhead as plasma fire screamed past. 6 Vraxian soldiers had them pinned down. Minho and Sora returned fire, but they were outnumbered. We can't stay here, Sora said. They'll surround us. Deho studied the corridor. Above them, a coolant pipe ran along the ceiling. He aimed and fired. The pipe exploded, spraying superheated coolant across the corridor. The Vraxian soldiers screamed and retreated, their armor smoking. Move, Deho shouted. They ran through the scalding mist. One Vraxian tried to stop them, and Deho shot him point blank. They reached a stairwell and climbed toward Deck 3. The bridge was close now. In the armory, Hyunwoo's team was fighting a running battle through the corridors. They had weapons now, but the Vraxians had numbers. Bodies littered the hallways, both human and alien. Fall back to intersection 9, Hyunwoo ordered. We need to slow them down. A young prisoner named Park Gina, barely 20, stood at the rear guard. She had been a student before the war. Now she held a Vraxian rifle like she'd trained for years. Go, I'll hold them! Gina, no, go! She opened fire, forcing the pursuing soldiers to take cover. Hyunwoo led the others away. Behind them, Gina's rifle went silent. She had bought them 30 seconds with her life. Taejin's team was trapped in engineering. Vraxian reinforcements had sealed the exits, but Taejin wasn't trying to escape. He was surrounded by explosive charges he'd built from spare parts and stored chemicals. Everyone out, he told his team. Get to the bridge. Help Deho. What about you? Someone asked. Taejin smiled. I'm finishing what we started. He held up a detonator. These charges are wired to the main reactor. When I trigger them, they won't explode the reactor, that would be too quick. But they'll cause a cascading failure. This ship will lose all power, dead in space. You'll die. We're all dead anyway. At least this way I take this ship with me. His team fled through a maintenance hatch. Taejin worked alone, making final adjustments to his charges. Vraxian soldiers were cutting through the door. He had maybe 2 minutes. On the bridge, Commander Thulvex watched his ship fall apart. Power failures, venting atmosphere, casualties mounting, and worst of all, 3 humans were almost at his door. Captain, seal the bridge. Full lockdown protocol. Velamora hesitated. Commander, if we seal the bridge, we trap ourselves. If something happens, do it. The bridge doors locked. Armored plates slid into place. The bridge became a fortress, but also a prison. Outside, Daiho reached the final corridor leading to the bridge. Lieutenant Brixton waited there with 20 elite guards. This was the last line of defense, Kang Deho, Brixton said. You have fought well for a human. But this ends now. You cannot pass us. You cannot reach the bridge. Deho checked his weapon, low on ammunition. He looked at Sora and Minho. Both were wounded, exhausted, but still standing. Get to cover. This is going to be loud. You can't fight them all, Minho said. Watch me. What happened next would be remembered by the surviving Vraxians as the moment they understood what humans truly were. Daiho didn't charge. He moved with calculated precision, using every advantage. He shot out the lights, plunging the corridor into darkness. He used smoke from damaged panels for concealment. He threw a grenade not at the guards but at a support beam, which collapsed and crushed 3 soldiers. The Vraxians had training. They had equipment. But Deho had desperation and purpose. He fought like someone who had nothing to lose because he didn't. Every move brought him closer to the bridge. When his rifle ran empty, he used a shock baton. When that broke, he used his hands. Brixton fought him directly. A massive Vraxian against 1 human. They crashed through damaged panels, trading blows. Brixton was stronger, but Deho was faster. He knew where to hit. Where the Vraxian armor had weak points, where the joints bent wrong, Brixton fell. Deho stood over him, breathing hard, covered in blood, both his and theirs. Of the 20 guards, only 4 remained. They looked at him with something new in their eyes. Fear. Run, Deho said quietly. They ran. Sora and Minho emerged from cover, shocked. The corridor was a disaster. Smoke, bodies, destruction, and in the middle of it 1 human still standing. The bridge is sealed, Sora said, checking the door controls. Armored lockdown. We can't cut through. Deho studied the door. Then he smiled. We don't need to cut through. We just need them to open it. He activated his communicator, setting it to the bridge frequency. Commander Thulvex, this is Kang Deho. I'm outside your door. Inside the bridge, Thulvex heard the voice and felt ice in his veins. You cannot enter. This door is impenetrable. I know. I don't need to enter. You're going to come out. Why would we do that? Because in 30 seconds, the main reactor is going to fail. Your engineer Tajin made sure of that. When it does, life support dies. Your bridge has maybe 20 minutes of air. Then you suffocate. Or you can open the door and fight me directly. You're bluffing. As if in answer, the ship shuddered. Deep in engineering, Tajin triggered his charges. The reactor didn't explode, but multiple systems went critical. Power died throughout the ship. Emergency batteries kicked in, but they would last an hour at most. On the bridge, the lights went red. Alarm screamed. Commander, a technician said, the reactor is offline. We're on emergency power. Life support is failing. Thulvex stared at the sealed door. Behind it was 1 human. 1. But that human had taken apart his ship, killed his crew, destroyed his systems. That human had done more damage than entire fleets. Open the door, Thulvex said quietly. Commander, no. Open it. I will kill this creature myself. The door unsealed. Thulvex stepped out with Velmora and 6 remaining bridge officers. They faced Deho in the corridor. The human looked terrible. Wounded, exhausted, barely standing. But his eyes were still clear. Still focused. You have cost me everything, Thulvex said. My ship, my crew, my fleet security. Why? What could possibly drive one being to such lengths? Deho met his gaze. 3 weeks ago, you destroyed Outpost Taiyang. 4,000 people died. My sister was there. Park Ji-won, she was a doctor. She helped people. She had 2 children who loved to draw pictures. They sent me drawings every week. Ships and stars and planets. They wanted to be explorers when they grew up. He took a step forward. You killed them. You killed thousands like them. You thought humans were weak, easy prey. You were wrong. Thulvex raised his weapon. 1 human cannot defeat us. You are alone. Your people will still fall. I'm not alone. Deho gestured around him. 32 prisoners were on this ship. They fought, they died. Every one of them took Vraxians with them. And we're not alone out here either. He pulled out the data chip. Sora, do it. Sora moved to a wall panel and plugged in the chip. Her fingers flew across the controls. I'm in. Fleet network. Downloading coordinates now. Stop her, Thulvex ordered. His officers moved forward, but Deho blocked them. He was 1 against 7, wounded and tired. But he had enough left for this. He fought with everything remaining, buying Sora precious seconds. Download complete, Sora said. I'm broadcasting it now. All human military frequencies. No, Thulvex roared. Across space, human listening posts received the transmission. Fleet coordinates. 300 Vraxian warships all in one location. The intelligence officers couldn't believe it. They verified the data, then sent it up the chain of command. In the corridor, Thulvex shot Deho. The plasma bolt hit him in the chest, burning through armor and flesh. Deho fell. Minho screamed and fired back, hitting Thulvex in the shoulder. Velmora shot Minho. Sora grabbed Minho and dragged him back toward an escape pod corridor. Deho lay on the floor, dying. Blood pooled around him. But he was smiling. Through his communicator, he heard a voice. Admiral Go Yunji, commander of the 3rd Human Fleet. Reaper, we received your transmission. Fleet coordinates confirmed. We're jumping to your position now. Extraction team inbound. Stay alive, Deho tried to laugh, but blood came up instead. Negative, Admiral. Mission complete. Remember Taiyang. Deho, stay with us. He turned off the communicator, looked up at Thulvek standing over him. You wanted to know why one human could do this? It's because you made it personal. You made it about more than territory or resources. You made it about families, about children. His breathing was getting shallow. The bioweapon in his bloodstream was activating, responding to his failing vital signs. Humans protect their families. And when you threaten that, we become something you can't understand. We become the Reaper. The Vraxian fleet scattered like frightened fish. 300 warships that had been confident predators suddenly found themselves facing an enemy that had found them, that knew exactly where they were, that had been waiting for this moment. Admiral Go Yunji stood on the bridge of the human dreadnought Indomitable, watching the tactical display. Red dots for Vraxian ships, blue dots for human forces, and one green dot, weak and flickering. Kang Deho's life sign. All ships, battle formation Omega, she ordered. Her voice was calm, but her hands gripped the command rail hard. Target the command ships first. We need to break their coordination. The human fleet opened fire. Missiles streaked through space. Railguns fired solid rounds at incredible speeds. Energy beams cut through the darkness. The Vraxians tried to respond, but they were confused, scattered. Their rendezvous point, meant to be secret and safe, had become a trap. On the Bloodclaw, alarms screamed as the human fleet engaged the Vraxian armada. Commander Thulvek stared at the tactical display in horror. How did they find us? Captain Velmora looked at the human dying on the floor. Kang Deho, the Reaper, he told them. He gave them everything. Thulvex raised his weapon toward Deho again, but Velmora grabbed his arm. No, Commander. Look at him. He's already dead. We need to evacuate. This ship is lost. I will not run from humans. Then you will die here. Velmora released him and spoke into her communicator. All crew abandon ship. Get to the escape pods. This is a direct order. Throughout the dying ship, Vraxians fled. They scrambled for escape pods, for shuttle bays, for any way off the doomed vessel. Sora and Minho had already reached an escape pod corridor. Other human prisoners were there too. Hyunwoo and his team, maybe 15 humans total out of 32 who had started the fight. We need to go now, Hyunwoo said, before the Vraxians seal the pod bays. What about Deho? Minho asked. Sora shook her head, tears in her eyes. He's not coming. He never planned to. We can't just leave him. We have to. He did this for us. For all of us. Why? Sora pushed Minho toward a pod. Get in. That's an order. They climbed into escape pods and launched. The small craft shot away from the Bloodclaw toward the human fleet. Behind them, the Vraxian warship drifted powerless, dead in space. In the corridor, Deho lay in spreading blood. His vision was fading. The bioweapon in his system was fully active now, spreading through his bloodstream, converting his blood into billions of molecular markers. When he died, those markers would aerosolize. Any Vraxian who came near would breathe them in, would carry them forever. Human sensors would be able to track them across galaxies. Thulvek stood over him, weapon aimed. You think you've won? You've killed yourself. Your people may have found our fleet, but we are still 300 ships. We will destroy them and then finish what we started with your colonies. Deho coughed blood. When he spoke, his voice was barely a whisper. You still don't understand. This isn't about winning one battle. It's about the war. About the future. What future? You're dying. Exactly. Deho's eyes focused on Thulvex one last time. I'm the message. Every Vraxian on this ship, everyone who breathes the same air as me when I die, will be marked, tagged, trackable. And this ship was at the rendezvous. Your crew will evacuate. Escape pods will scatter. They'll be picked up by other Vraxian ships. Understanding dawned on Thulvex's face. Horror followed. That's right, Deho whispered. I'm not just killing your ship. I'm tagging your entire fleet. Every ship that recovers survivors from the Bloodclaw will carry the marker. And those ships will dock at bases, meet with other fleets spread across your empire. Within weeks, human intelligence will know where every major Vraxian military asset is located. Velmora had been listening. She understood tactics, strategy. This human had sacrificed himself to turn the Vraxian fleet into a tracking beacon. It was brilliant and terrible. We need to quarantine the Bloodclaw, she said. No survivors. No escapes. We seal this ship and let it drift. It's too late, Deho said. Escape pods already launched. Hundreds of your crew already spreading through your fleet. His breathing was slowing. His body was shutting down. You wanted to capture a human. You caught death itself, Thulvex fired. The plasma bolt hit Deho in the head. Kang Deho, called the Reaper, died on the floor of a Vraxian warship surrounded by enemies having completed his mission. His body began to release the bioweapon. Invisible molecular markers flooded the air. Thulvex and Velmora breathed them in. So did the few remaining crew on the ship. And beyond the ship, in the escape pods floating through the battle, hundreds of Vraxian survivors carried the markers with them. The battle raged for 3 hours. The human fleet was outnumbered 6-1, but they had surprise and fury on their side. Admiral Unji directed her forces with precision, hitting command ships, supply vessels, and carrier groups. The Vraxians fought back, but their coordination was shattered. By the end, 60 Vraxian ships were destroyed. Another 100 were damaged and retreating. The rest scattered across space, fleeing in all directions. The human fleet had lost 8 ships with heavy casualties, but they had broken the Vraxian armada. Recall all fighters, Admiral Unji ordered. Begin search and rescue operations. Priority on recovering our escape pods. Admiral, we're detecting multiple human life signs in Vraxian escape pods, a sensor officer reported. The prisoners. They're alive. Recover them immediately. The human ships moved through the debris field, gathering survivors. They found Sora, Minho, Hyunwoo, and 12 other humans who had fought aboard the Blood Claw. Each of them was pulled aboard with medical teams waiting. Sora was taken to the Indomitable. Admiral Unji met her in the medical bay. The Admiral was in her 50s with gray hair and hard eyes that had seen too many battles. On Sora, she said, you transmitted the fleet coordinates. That was you? Sora nodded, exhausted. Deho got us to the bridge. He fought everyone while I accessed their systems. It was all him. Where is he now? Sora's eyes filled with tears. Dead, he died getting us out. He knew he would. He planned it. Unji closed her eyes. She had sent Deho on this mission. Had known it was one way, but knowing someone chose to die and actually receiving confirmation of their death were different things. Did he complete the objective? She asked quietly. Yes, Admiral. The bioweapon is active. The Vraxians on the Blood Claw are all tagged now. They'll spread it through their fleet without knowing. Good. Yunji's voice was steady, but her hands shook. He was one of our best. He volunteered for this. Did you know that? He asked for this mission specifically. He told us. His sister died at Outpost Taeyang. Park Ji-won. Yes, she was a doctor. Good woman. Her children were beautiful. Yunji looked out the viewport at the drifting wreckage. Deho made them pay. All of them. Over the next weeks, human intelligence tracked the biomarkers spreading through the Vraxian military. Ships that had recovered survivors from the Blood Claw carried the markers to bases. Those bases infected other ships, supply lines, military installations. Within a month, humanity had mapped 70% of the Vraxian Empire's military infrastructure. The war turned. With perfect intelligence on enemy positions, human forces struck where the Vraxians were weak, avoided where they were strong, intercepted supply convoys, ambushed isolated fleets. The Vraxians, who had thought themselves superior predators, found themselves hunted. 6 months after the battle at the rendezvous point, the Vraxian Empire sued for peace. Their military was crippled, their economy collapsing. They had lost too many ships, too many bases, too many soldiers, and they could never figure out how humanity always knew where they were. The peace treaty was signed on neutral ground. The Vraxians agreed to withdraw from all disputed territories, pay reparations, never enter human space again. In exchange, humanity would stop the systematic destruction of their fleet. Captain Velmora was one of the Vraxian representatives. She had survived the battle, though Thulvex had not. His ship had been destroyed by human fire. She carried the biomarker, as did every Vraxian who had been at that rendezvous. She knew what it meant, knew that humanity could track her anywhere. It was like being branded. You turned us into your spies without us knowing, she said to Admiral Unji during the negotiations. One human did this. One sacrifice, one human who you captured, Unji replied. You thought you were taking a prisoner. You invited a weapon into your midst. Remember that. Remember what happens when you attack human colonies, when you kill our families. Velmora looked at the Admiral's face and saw no mercy there. No forgiveness. Only cold certainty. Will you ever tell us how to remove the markers? No, you'll carry them forever. Wear them as a reminder. You started this war. We finished it. The Vraxians left Earth's solar system and never returned. In human space, they rebuilt what had been destroyed. Colonies were reestablished. Outpost Taeyang was reconstructed on the same site. A new settlement rising from the ashes of the old. A memorial was erected at the colony center. Black stone carved with names. 4,000 people who had died in the Vraxian attack. Park Ji-won's name was there. Her husband. Her children. Thousands of others, families, friends, dreams ended. And at the bottom of the memorial, separated by a line of stars, one more name. Kang Daeho. The Reaper. He made them pay.